standard were you guys addressing? I guess we could start there.
The WK1.
And that's still the focus, right? I've like had so many data teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, when I get that, asked that question, I always go, the only one we work on, but no, there's many.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing we can start with is the exemplary work. Let's do that work. Do you guys want to show that it's exemplary?
I can show, this is Xiomara's work. Her pictures are still kind of Picasso-esque, but she wrote 2 full sentences. And I only helped her with a couple of syllables, and so
And her picture's very
2
detailed.
sentences instead of 1.5, so, and it
And what
makes
does it
sense.
say?
It says, my favorite animal is a doggy. It licks my face, in Spanish.
And he knew the word lame. She knew that word. Licks.
Which is really hard, in Spanish is really hard, for a little kid to know that word and know that it's, because they can say lambe, which is the very wrong way to say it, and she had it lame, which is the right way to say it, so, her vocabulary is really good in
Yeah.
general.
That's awesome.
Well, my kid did not write 2 sentences, but he wrote, I like rhinos. And from the first time, this was their no words, to this, which shows more of a setting and details than he had before. And then my Gabby wrote, she's kind of mixed up a little bit, the butterfly in the zoo. So there's her butterflies. And her first favorite animal was, I'm not even know what it was, a zebra or something. So I'm happy. I'm seeing lots of attempts of writing. You know,
Wow, that's a huge
that's, yeah,
difference right there.
big difference, a big change. So it's like they're putting the pieces together.
So, my one exemplar is I like the cat because they are cuddly.
Nice.
She didn't quite get the they are cuddly too much here. It was a good start, and then she kind of trailed off, but it was nice because she actually gave the reason
Yeah.
why. So that's definitely one of the exemplars. As far as growth, my Mason, these cats don't necessarily look great, but everything else he's been drawing are monsters. So just the fact that it resembles a cat is pretty big for him, and then he did I like the cat by himself. So this was another huge growth in its own
Daddy, what break up that
way.
movie? What a break up that
Then I do have my 2 that are really constantly writing. These were their pictures.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then this was independently. My favorite animal is a rabbit and turtle. Yeah, it was completely independent. And then my favorite animal is a kangaroo, and I am at the zoo, and I like to go to the zoo.
Nice.
So,
That was written without support.
Wow.
yeah. that-
Restating my favorite
That's
animal is
awesome.
pretty, that's pretty.
Yeah, and those 2 are both very
Advanced.
strong, advanced writers,
Those
but,
advanced.
I mean, if we can get some of them to that point at the end of the year, we're gonna be doing really well.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I think I might do another sample again tomorrow. Several of the others just are kind of off today, and I saw work come out of them that I have not seen for several weeks. I mean, it was definitely not what I was expecting. So I'm gonna give them a second chance to see if today was just an off day or if this really is where we're at.
Yeah.
I wanted to show, this is Aiden, is my, my best friend. This was the first one he did, and And yesterday, or whenever I did it, Tuesday, he actually drew a giraffe
Oh my gosh.
and sounded out words on his own. So that's, and the giraffe is eating.
I like it.
So that's
That's awesome.
big coming from this to where he's at right now.
Mhm.
Which this still kind of had a setting and an idea behind it, but
Just the detail in it.
just the detail in it. So
Mhm. So what are you guys noticing, because we have been working on the same standard, like in our last cycles, and we talked about lots of different instructional strategies, and Nestor had commented and like even praised like that you guys have been using like a lot of the things that we've been talking about here, and then he like, I haven't been into any classrooms, but like totally sees the transfer, and just wanted to give you guys a moment to like celebrate that and like share it, like has it been successful, and like if so, like which strategies have been working really well for you that you want to continue, because you have been seeing like print, like I'm noticing even just from our first data cycle that we went through of like just all pictures, and like a lot of you guys asking them, what are you writing about, and then you wrote the sentences for them, but you know, you're still having to provide sentence frames obviously because they're so young, and but it's just incredible to see that. So I'm just curious, I want you guys to celebrate your strategies that you guys are using and talk about them.
Well,
go ahead.
I think a big one is just the modeling over and over about how I can write words or letters, and how I go back and use the alphabet chart and pulling in the sight words, so it's the skills block, and it's the writing pieces kind of coming together, and the kids realizing that they can do it independently, which is really, I think it's huge for this time of year of kindergarten.
I was just gonna say, it's only October.
I know, it's October, and we're seeing from no writing to, like you said, no writing to these attempts at writing, and even some of the kids above and beyond, which is,
And I think to go with the modeling, to have that time for them to think, kind of like what you mentioned the meeting before this, just giving them that time to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, just kind of
Just that
settle the
pre-planning,
idea.
that
Yeah, the
pre-planning
pre-planning.
time, and really thinking of those details and
Yeah.
what they wanna add before they
and,
go to the table. to do
and
it.
stating it orally, so that
Yeah.
it's out there,
Mhm.
you know, it kind of brings it
Yeah.
all together.
So we're not where I'd like them to be yet, but it's almost that accountability piece with each other,
Yeah.
for giving each other the feedback and helping pull more details out of each other's writing. So we're starting to see the beginning of that, but
Yeah.
And I wanted to celebrate that I saw. I'm sorry that I haven't been in your class yet.
I thought you were gonna come in this morning.
Yes, I have, well,
I thought you'd be there
yeah.
this morning.
Life happens, yeah. But I wanted to say that, I wanted to point this publicly, this attempt I saw in your class of having kids provide each other with feedback. In kindergarten, they have a rubric, and they look at the rubric and they attempt to provide each other with feedback. Of course, it wasn't perfect, and of course, it was an attempt, and then you provided the structure, and then it was great to see Donna trying to help you with it, and then you walking around and making sure that they were trying to make that connection. But it's 6 weeks into the school year in a kindergarten classroom where kids are trying to do that. I deeply encourage you to give it a try as well in your classroom. You probably are already doing it, but that was something that I walked out of the class being very pleased, because you are transferring that responsibility on the kids, and that's great. Yeah, it's gonna take you a while, I know, but great.
good, thank you.
And then Bev, you had said the modeling piece, I just wanted to make sure I captured it right. You said transferring what's learned from, what was it?
Skills block, so skills where we work on words, letter sounds, friends.
Just those very basic.
To the writing block?
Which is something you don't always see from young kids right away. It's like you think they're getting it at one part of the day, and then the next part of the day where you think it pertains it, they just totally don't get it or show it. But we're seeing
And
some
it
of
can
that.
be a word that you've learned over and
Right.
over and over, and when
Right.
it goes to them writing it,
Right.
they have.
You know, so they're going back to the word wall, they're going to the, you know, they're going to use the tools that we've given them on their own, independently, which is I think is big.
Because and their brains are so small that they feel like everything I'm learning is like compartmentalized, and when they're able to like transfer that to different
Right.
areas of the day of like, oh yeah, we did talk about that earlier, so that's incredible. So we kind of jumped, and I just wanted, because you guys have been doing so many great strategies that I know you want to continue. So where we're at now, I guess, like, I don't know if we want to talk about gaps or just go straight into like the action planning, because I think we kind of know where our biggest gaps still lie, or should we kind of talk about that really quick? What are our biggest gaps that we still need to continue? I mean, there's those kids that aren't, or how did you push, just wondering, like, what did you do to like those kids that are, maybe it's just this piece, the skills block, you're giving them a lot of skills with writing and then they're transferring it over here. So maybe that's the piece, but I'm just wondering, like, those kids that are already using print to describe their pictures, like, what did you guys do to get those kids there? Or like, how could we push the other kids to get there?
A lot of, for me, it's just kind of the one-on-one
Small
conversations that you have with them, just kind of pointing out what they're doing already and what they can do to take that next step, whether it is adding the words or now you have a setting, now you need to add your people. Say the one-on-one has been the biggest thing to help me with that. And with a lot of the really low ones, it's just continuing to give them the experience.
Talking about experience, I just wanted to share with you a strategy that I saw another grade level work using with kids with their oral development. When they have them think, parrot, share, they're also having kids paraphrase what their teammates said. And then you can provide a sentence starter or whatever. My partner said, and then that will be like a follow-up to the think, parrot, share.
So it's kind of taking what we do with reading, where they tell what their partner thought.
Yeah.
Move it into the writing.
And they repeat the words. So specifically when you're working with academic language, if there's one or two words that you're using, I think that's a nice protocol to incorporate as a strategy. At least maybe try it, see if it works.
Would you guys say that is still like the biggest one? Like, some kids just still lack, like, they're not even there, they're not ready for print yet. They still lack the details in their picture. Like, they're able to express it orally to you, but then when you ask them to draw the picture, it's like they still struggle with that, like not having a face on the character.
Yeah.
Or
What
you
I've
talked about a puppy, but you're not showing a puppy.
What
in
I've
the
seen
picture.
some of mine do is they will get the good picture to start with, and then when they go to do the coloring, they just scribble all over the top of the really nice picture they had underneath. So with those, it's gonna be going back and kind of teaching them when to stop. Because they'll have a good start, then you walk away and come back 5 minutes later and they've trashed their whole picture.
And also, I think one of the gaps with those kiddos that aren't using print yet is they're still learning about print. Like, I have a 2 that just like learned how to write their names. So, you know, they're becoming confident in that, and I think eventually they'll become confident in starting to add the letters and
And so
things.
that's kind of what I was seeing with these 2, is they don't really know all of their letters, but at least they're making an attempt. It does not resemble at all what they were trying to say, but they're
trying.
putting the
But
letters
that's,
down on page.
in the writing continuum, stringing letters comes way before
Yeah, it's part of the
words,
developmental stage of
right,
writing.
so, yeah.
So just the fact that I'm seeing that, and this one has had no school experience before and is super young. So just even the fact that she's trying that, I'm happy to see.
It's huge,
Yeah,
And I can see that you're also starting to use the lines and
right.
you put them all over, whatever.
And rubrics for kindergarten is so interesting because it's like, at this point, they're not mastering anything. So when you like grade their work based on a rubric, it's like, but what at this point in the year of October, what would you say advanced, like what would you expect your kids to be doing at this point? Like, would you say that like the kids that are putting print on paper, that's like above and
Yeah.
beyond? Like that's like,
Mhm.
and then
I'd
the
say
kids
a-
that are just adding details
A
is
good
like advanced.
detailed picture, a picture with a setting and a character,
And for them to
And
orally.
maybe beginning sounds.
and
Yeah.
beginning sounds and labels, because that's one
But
of the
even-
first things.
But even just beginning sound labels.
Yeah.
So if they draw a
Yeah.
dog, just doing the D over the top of the
Mhm.
dog.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And we're
So
really
it's-
just starting to move into that.
So
Right.
it's professional work.
Mm-hmm.
For this time of year.
For this time of year,
Yes. Writing to the prompt, staying on topic.
right, writing to the prompt. Also.
Yeah. So what would your next steps or your action plan be?
Well, we're starting a new unit,
Oh, you are.
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to shock them because it's completely different. It's
Right.
our
Super sense.
Interdis-
Yeah,
interdisciplinary. So our literacy block completely becomes one. Reading and writing become one, and it's science based.
We're moving
So-
more into the informational
Yeah.
text rather than the narratives.
Mhm.
So yeah,
So I think
Gonna be an
figuring how
adjustment
that's
first.
going to look is going to be a
But
first
with,
step.
yeah, but within that, we still go back to I draw the picture with the details.
Oh yeah, and I think
try
we
the
can
words,
still,
I mean,
yeah.
we kind of fall back to that, but
Yeah.
but the structure is gonna look different
Mhm.
from what they've been doing.
well, and the prompts are gonna be totally different
The prompts are gonna be
too.
different
It's not gonna be so much writing about their life, it's going to be.
about what they learned.
More like nonfiction writing.
Mhm.
So they're gonna start thinking of evidence from the text. Is that what you mean? Like they're going to start
So like
producing based
Some
on.
part
part of it,
and
not
certain days it's different. Some days they're just learning how to write about an experiment. So how do you write like a scientist?
observational notes.
Yeah, observational notes, things like that. Yeah, that's fun. This is the first time we've done it at this point in the year.
And
Normally
I
it's after
have
you just
never,
done it.
I've never done this. I've
Usually
been out
it's
of
later
kindergarten
in
for
the
4
year.
years.
Yeah,
This
normally
is
it's
new.
like February when we
Yeah.
started, so we'll see how it goes
That just
this
seems
time
like a big
around.
job.
Informational
You know?
notes.
But then to like different days you'll read about the animal sense of hearing. And then at the end we have them write, well, if you could pick one of the animal senses of hearing, what would it be and why?
And you get your back.
So I wish I could hear like a dog because then I could hear sounds really high that other people can't. So it's taking information they learn and then sharing it in their writing. So it could be interesting, like Nebraska said, it's the first time we've done it this early in the
Yeah.
year. So it's probably gonna look a lot different than what it
Yeah.
has
Why
in
did they
previous
do
years.
that?
But somehow you're going to. I'm just thinking of the action plan, and I don't know, Merlinda, you might just rephrase it. But somehow you're going to transfer some of the skills they acquire in this
Oh,
unit.
yeah.
You're gonna use them for this next unit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
could we look at the action plan from those lenses? Like what? I don't know. I'm thinking of the child and what's next for that child that builds up on what has already been done.
I think maybe part of it's gonna be they need to learn that you write for different purposes, but there are certain things that it doesn't matter what kind of writing it is, you should always have. That there are certain structures that writing always has, no matter if it's informational
You forgot your
or,
S.
um,
Transfer.
Thank
'Cause I know first graders are gonna see that.
you.
yeah.
So, for example, the what do you say? I always say tagging, but it's not tagging.
Labeling.
Labeling and all those skills are still going to be expected for them to be
Well,
using.
and that kind of comes in more, cause it could be,
Labeling
okay,
comes
so,
in more.
so we're talking about hearing. Some of the animals use different parts of their body, so let's label
Label
Right, so
where.
that-
where this animal uses to hear, or.
And I assume that you are also going to ask them to do a little bit more than putting initial sounds in the labeling. Maybe.
It
Well, for
starts
some
with the
students, that's the first, the
That would
only
be-
thing they
Depends
can
where they
do.
are.
Yeah.
But for the ones that can
That
sound
already
out,
done.
they'll
Because,
do.
well, and when
the
you
whole
start with
word.
the beginning sound, once they get more
Yeah.
comfortable with that, then it's beginning and ending sound.
Mhm.
then it moves to the middle sounds.
Yeah.
Now, some kids, they start hearing the middle sounds right away, so we go with that. But if it's one that's really struggling, it's beginning
Yeah.
sounds, then you work on ending sound, and then it's the middle sounds. So that's gonna be my ones that are just writing the random letters. When we sit down and work, it's gonna be, okay, so dog, what do you hear at the beginning of dog? So it might just be a D on the line.
Mhm.
You know, my dog is playing with the ball. So okay, we're doing ball, what sound do you hear at the beginning? So it could be a mix of sight words and then just beginning sounds for the other words.
And when it comes to planning, I automatically assume that you guys are planning together because I have seen alignment and instruction. So when it comes to planning, you guys are going to do like, how are you planning this next unit, like backwards? Do you have it already planned? What are you guys
Well,
at with the planning?
we're definitely doing more of the planning with the standard in mind.
And then using the
but
district
this-
curriculum
This
kind of as a
unit,
guide
I
to
think
start
we-
with.
but this unit calls for using the guide a little
Yeah.
more than the others, just because it's,
Well, and it's one that they've done a lot more recently,
Yeah.
so it really is based more around the Common Core standards.
Yeah.
So that's already more built in than in the older curriculum.
but we plan a week ahead, each week, and,
So like tomorrow, you already will know what you're gonna do next week.
We did it
we
yesterday.
did it
You
yesterday.
did it
Yeah,
once.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's how you want to have, that's the deal.
It works, especially for this unit because we have to prep for, experiments and we have to prep for, get materials and certain books, that go with the unit, so it's a lot easier to do.
And
At least
speaking
a
of
week ahead.
materials.
Yes, we need to put in a request to use some of our money,
Oh, really?
because, in this unit,
What?
What?
it's for things like carnations and celery. Because
Yeah.
part of the experiments are you take food coloring and put it in water and have the kids predict what will happen if you put the celery down in it. Well, depending on the color water, it actually, you can see it going up through the veins in the celery. And then you have them do it with a carnation. Well, this is what happened with the celery. Do you think the same thing will happen with the flower? Or I think I've got it reversed.
Yeah.
Is it the
That's
celery or the
okay.
flower first? Either way, you do one of them first, then they have to predict if they think the same thing will happen with the other one.
Okay.
So it's not gonna be too much, but if we turn in a receipt for celery and carnations, it does go with the, unit. I think that was all we need, isn't it?
Sorry, Merlin, that like sabotaging your.
No, I mean, I want it to be an authentic conversation, so just thinking about like work that we're gonna bring next time, what do you think? Like just, Bev, I know you have your plan, like I don't know which writing sample would be most beneficial for you guys to look at in thinking about what you're planning for next week.
Well, I think we'll have samples that show nonfiction writing. So we're going to that one,
We're definitely
flip
going
into
into
that
nonfiction.
the nonfiction standard.
So it really will
Non-personal.
be more of a pre,
Which
that
is like
really
pre-
shows what they
yeah.
know about their
Mhm.
senses and,
Mhm.
so I think on Monday, that's probably what I'll do, we're introducing the idea,
Mhm.
and I think for the writing, it's, well,
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that you guys are gonna focus on a different standard there,
yeah.
That's right.
informational.
Mhm.
Which is reading.
I have the standard here for the.
If you were Merlinda, you will have it on your phone.
I do, but my phone's put away.
Mine's right.
There's just so many grade levels and like it's tough, like
I
even,
know, I'm just
like
kidding.
being your own, I mean, to memorize all that, it's,
It's the
Okay.
third one.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm excited to see those samples of nonfiction. Actually, when I come in and color, work on the celery. I think I never done that. Have you worked on that? Have you ever done that?
I've seen the carnation one, but never celery. But that's
Celery is really interesting.
Is it? Isn't that what they do to color flowers? And they said sell you a green flower.
Right,
and
yeah.
a
That's how they
orange
get those
flower.
neon colored flowers. They don't
Okay.
grow like that.
So I'm thinking it's gonna be
Real.
WK2. Use a combination of drawing, dictating, and writing to compose information or informative explanatory text in which they name what they are writing about and support some information about the topic.
Okay.
So I wish I had ears like a whatever, so I could. So yeah, we'll be doing that a lot this unit.
So name what they're talking about and then what? And some information.
And support some information about the topic.
Okay.
So it could be the same thing too with an observation.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I predicted this was going to happen and this is what actually happened.
Do they give us food colors?
Oh, wait, I have food. Tubs in the bathroom, I've got all that.
Well, that's a photo of you, with
Mhm.
Kelly Mettler.
Yes. She jumped in. We all had the same
She
necklace that
photobombed
day,
us.
so,
oh, you did?
yeah.
How cool.
So, that's mine and Kelly's part-time job. We sell jewelry on the side.
You
and
do?
I've got them hooked.
I noticed your
So-
jewelry last time, and I wanted to comment on it. It was really pretty. It was like one that like kind of choked around your neck, and then it like
Mhm.
got longer.
So bring you a catalog.
Yeah.
And you too, Nestor.
Off topic, yes.
Right.
You're right. So
Crystals
yes,
is
so
only
that's
a
why
couple
we did
months
that, because
away.
we all wear the same necklace on that day.
Yeah.
I've got
Cool.
them.
I don't wear necklaces, so.
No.
I'm gonna get
Your
some.
wife does.
Yeah.